jam! Hello again and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 516 of the Mana Pool, and that is not small, as numbers go, when you're talking podcast episodes.
I like to think it's a pretty big number regardless of what you're talking.
I mean, if you're talking about, like, sand on the beach, it's pretty small. Stars in the sky, amount of oatmeal cookies I've eaten in my life.
Okay, so maybe not irregardless.
That's not a word. So I'm Chewy, and I use real words, and I'm the lead dork, and I'm also here with these other dorks. Hi, dorks!
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler, tangent master of the group. And something that you may not have known about me, even if you've been listening since the very beginning of the show, I've always been kind of a fan of King Arthur, the myth, the legend, etc. I don't know that I ever said that.
All right, I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy, and I didn't have enough time to come up with something similar to what Brian said, so sorry.
You may not know that about Mike.
I'm pretty sure they know.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I also am one who doesn't come up with great quibs and comebacks and tangents and everything of that sort. But I do my darndest to chime in every now and then with something.
Don't sell yourself short. You do a pretty good job.
Well, something you may not know about me, since the other two couldn't come up with anything, I'm left-handed.
You are?
You didn't know that?
I think at some point I noticed, but...
I mean, how often do you guys see me write things? I mean, other than life
all the time.
Or have to find a pair of scissors for you to use.
I hate you.
Just go to the leftporium.
What about a desk to sit in? That was the other thing when I was growing up. And I hated left-handed desks with a passion. Because they were wrong. Anyway, this is not the left cast. This is the Mana Pool. So, hi. I feel bad for any new listeners right about now. So, as you know, this is how you can tell that the plot of the movie, or the writer of the movie, is really terrible at what he does. When someone says, as you know... Core Set 2019 comes out soon. Like next weekend? I think it's next weekend.
Yes.
This weekend is the pre-release. The reason you're hearing this, because there's not going to be a pre-release episode, because nobody's going except maybe me. And that's kind of So, we might... Everyone else has, conflicts and whatnot, and So... Instead of doing a Core Set 2019 pre-release episode, we're going to do a Core Set episode.
Yeah. That's all I can need a response. Sorry. So
what we're going to do to commemorate this return of the Core Sets is take a look back at Core Sets, or Base Sets, or what else were they called? Was that it?
I think that was it.
Oh. Well, there you go, then. I could have sworn.
I think it was, before it was just like base set or basic set or something like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't called Core until considerably later.
Yeah. So, the first Core Set was, was Alpha, if you want to get technical about it. Which is where it all started. Anybody?
Yeah, the very first set of cards, all of them designed pretty much top down for flavor to show off all kinds of cool things that the game could do, and all kinds of different fantasy tropes, and they're made to be exciting.
And some of them,
keep going.
Some of them, while they were definitely fantasy tropes, some of them, like Llanowar Elves, were specifically twists on known or pre-existing fantasy tropes.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and they didn't have any kind of unified art direction, and there wasn't any kind of world building in terms of the visual style that went into everything. They just needed anything they could get in terms of art that would make people notice the card and say, "Ooh, what's that?"
Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of different things that look very different from each other.
Yeah, but in a way, that kind of adds to the charm.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Personally, I tend to go more toward the unified look that we have these days. I like being able to look at something and go, "That's what a thrall looks like. That's what a Thallid looks like. That's what a Balduvian looks like." But yeah, but I definitely see the charm, especially at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yet no one ever said that's what a Balduvian looks like, because every card from Ice Age that said Balduvian anything looked vastly different from every other Balduvian anything.
Yep. Exactly why I picked that. So, but that was Alpha.
Yes. And Beta, Alpha and Beta are basically the same set. Beta corrected some problems that Alpha had. There were a couple cards missing. Circle Protection Black and Volcanic Island were missing from Alpha for some reason.
It was COP Black?
Yes.
Oh.
Wasn't there a basic land like Mountain also missing? Or was it just the dual? Okay.
So they put those cards back in. They corrected typos on a few cards on Elvish Archers and Orcish Oriflamme and the Cyclopean Tomb and Orcish Artillery and Dark Ritual and Force of Nature and maybe a couple of other things. They corrected some typos. And they added another version of each of the 5 basic lands to push the total number of cards in the set over 300 so that they could put over 300 cards on the marketing material.
Huh.
I want to say it. Can I say it?
Yes.
I'm going to say it. It's over 300.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I'm done now.
Are you, though?
No. Not even slow. Slightly.
And really, Unlimited was the same as Alpha and Beta, except they cleaned up the rules text on some cards a little bit more. It was printed with white borders to distinguish it from the very first edition of the game. And they really just needed to get more cards out there. Like Alpha was released in August, Beta was released in October, Unlimited was released in December of the same year, and they kept selling out like that. The first run of Alpha, they thought they were going to have about a 6-month supply, and no, it was gone. It was sold out at the source in a matter of weeks. Like, well, this is a nice problem to have.
6 months supply, 6 weeks supply, whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So they print a bunch more Beta, and they're like, okay, I think we have it now. Nope, gone. Like, okay, people really like this game.
Let's see here. Alpha apparently had a run of 2.6 million cards. It was just...
Mm-hmm.
Beta, I apparently didn't open the Gamepedia page for Beta. Excuse me. Beta had a run of... Oh my god. The pages from Alpha and Beta are not similar because it's a Gamepedia page.
Oh.
Ah, here we go. The print run was announced by Wizards to be 7.3 million cards.
That makes sense.
And then Unlimited was 35 million cards. And it says it was sold out by late March 1994. It came out in December, the beginning of December. So yeah, but I mean, this is where Magic started. All of the everything that you think about when it's basic Magic, including horrible mistakes like, Dark Ritual. No, Dark Ritual's fine. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hypnotic Spectre, that's the problem.
Yeah, but your classic Power 9, the Moxes, the Black Lotus, Time Walk, Time Twister. Other stuff like Wheel of Fortune, confusing, oppressive stuff like, Balance, Mind Twist. Things that just, because the game was still brand new, and, the developers only had so much time to be testing it, and it was only that one small group, they just missed some stuff. And it took a while to learn all the lessons from those first few releases of the core set.
So then, what happened?
So then, like you said, Unlimited was sold out by the end of March, but thankfully they had Revised ready to follow it. And Revised removed some of the most problematic cards from the base set. Like all the Power 9 came out. A couple of other things did too. And it also added in some cards from Antiquities and Arabian Nights. I think I'm remembering this correctly. It also added in some cards from Antiquities and Arabian Nights that people like, just to shake it up a bit. And the intention was that most of the basic set, when they released new editions of it, most of the basic set was going to stay the same. They wanted the basic version of Magic to look a certain way, but they were willing to switch some things in and out just to shake it up a bit and get some of the cool little cards that people liked into people's hands again, from the early expansions that were gone now. At least that were gone from the store shelves now.
Mm-hmm. Like a Tog?
Yes, like a Tog. People like ATOG. ATOG is good. A lot of people didn't recognize it that way at first, but some people did.
It's true.
Also, Revised is where they did a lot more tightening up of the rules themselves, because at the very, very beginning,
In the beginning,
the first versions of the rules of the game covered everything you'd need to know to play a normal game, but sometimes you get into odd situations with interactions between certain cards where the rules might not clearly tell you where to go next, or what you're supposed to do, or how certain things are supposed to interact, and how you're allowed to respond to them. And it was basically, if you come to a situation where you don't know what to do, talk it out, come to a reasonable conclusion. If you're having a disagreement, try to make a reasonable compromise, and then just move on. But when it became popular enough to have scheduled regular tournaments that people would go to, you can't resolve disputes like that. You need to have a more complete system. You need to have a more complete game engine to run on.
right?
So they
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
They tightened up the rules a little bit. They introduced the first version of the tap symbol, and they tightened up the rules text formatting on cards across the board. Not a lot, definitely not to the extent that it is now, but it was significantly different from Alpha Beta.
Yeah, they got rid of the stuff that we still have a hard time figuring out, mono and poly artifacts, and just added the tap symbol.
Yeah.
Literally, I still don't know what those mean.
So mono means the cost to activate its ability is tapping it.
Nope, and we lost Mike right in the middle of that explanation.
Pretty sure poly means it can be used more than once a turn. So
I thought mono was the thing you got in college and got really sick and missed class, and then poly was when you have multiple wives. I'm pretty sure that's right. Or husbands, whichever.
Well,
So,
you don't discriminate, so.
That's true, yeah. I hate everybody. I don't know what else. Oh, there he is.
There he is. We couldn't finish this discussion without him. I mean, that would be ridiculous.
Anyway.
It's all right. It's okay.
Anyway, mono and poly artifacts have activated abilities. Mono means you need to tap it. Poly means you don't. You just need to pay whatever cost is listed there.
Ah.
And other artifacts were continuous artifacts. Their abilities are just on all the time.
Which is why some of the artifacts, like Kill Switch, worked a lot differently than they do now.
That was
Urza's, right?
No, that was in Nemesis, but I think, yeah, you're right. Yeah, there was another rule about tapped continuous artifacts and maybe tapped poly artifacts. I can't remember right now. Their ability shut off if it was tapped, and that persisted through the game until the big 6th edition rules change, which we'll get to later.
Foreshadowing.
The other thing about Revised was that it looked like crap.
Yeah, the color saturation was way different than Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited, and it didn't have that beveled edge around the frame. It just had a thick black line.
True. But most notably is the color. You can always tell a Revised Edition card, because they look washed out.
Yeah.
And it's painfully obvious.
especially if you set it next to a card from Unlimited. Then the card from Unlimited looks too dark, and you're like, "What's wrong with this one?"
Yeah.
The difference is so extreme.
So then we get to 4th edition, which is where I come in. Right? Yeah, 4th edition was the core set, or base set, that had just come out, I think, when I started playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And 4th edition continued the thing where there are a whole lot of cards from the previous base sets and reprints from other sets. Yay.
Yes, they brought in some cards from Legends in the Dark. And I think technically Chronicles, which was an all reprint set from the early expansions, was considered a basic set at the time and went along with 4th edition, but it's not regarded as one of the, nowadays we don't regard it as one of the core sets of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
But it was considered a basic set at the time.
I do not remember that. Weird.
Yeah. But yeah, and the set kept growing. Like we said before, Alpha was slightly less than 300 cards. Beta was over 300, and Unlimited was the same size. Revised just at 302. Revised was 306. 4th edition actually went up to 378. So they added a fair chunk of stuff.
Yeah, and apparently 122 of those were from previous expansions.
Mm-hmm.
Phew. But it's still white bordered. It no longer looks like crap. The colors aren't all washed out.
Yeah. They added the copyright information to the bottom. It has that little 1995.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the first time that appeared on cards, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
1995.
The bevel is back, in case that matters.
Well,
Color saturation is more balanced.
Yeah. This is where we get the tap symbol that we still use today.
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not exactly, but it's very close.
it's very close. It's hard to remember a time before that. Was it on the basic lands?
Yes.
Yes?
Okay. Okay.
And if I remember correctly, that's also when the sharper versions of the mana symbols first appeared on cards.
Yeah, that was 4th edition.
Mhm.
Which
There were
I
a couple
remember back when I noticed that was in, I think it was in college. Like when I started playing again with you guys, like I had an old white card.
Mm-hmm.
Or I might have noticed back in the day when I was originally playing and it didn't stick, but there was the old white card and the new white card, and the mana symbols are actually different, and that blew me away.
Yeah, that's the most noticeable one in terms of how different the sharpened up version looks. There are actually a couple of white cards in Ice Age. I think it's Filgia and Prismatic Ward that have the old version of the white mana symbol because they needed to be mocked up for like special preview articles before the set was released, and they weren't ready to show off the new mana symbols yet. So they just ended up sending those same files to the printers with the old mana symbols on them.
Doesn't look like that's one of them, although the resolution on Gatherer makes it hard to tell.
I might be wrong.
I looked
I
up
thought it was Filgia.
Filgia. It's a fun word.
It is a
Yeah.
fun word.
So let's
I can't
see.
tell on Alpha Armageddon. I can't tell anything particular out of in terms of the mana symbol.
Yeah, instead of so if you look in our Discord chat, you see the white symbol blown up with all of it, like the sun, the rays coming out of it are all jaggy. They were just simple little whoop, like little loops. And if you look at an old white magic card, you can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to see on, like I said, like Gatherer because the resolution's not so great, but it's a pretty obvious difference.
Yeah, if you pick up an actual card and hold it up to your face, you'll see it.
So what? Anything else about 4th edition?
Looks like there was some rule stuff, but
Yeah, there was always rule stuff.
Yeah, nothing.
Just trying to tighten it up some more. This was also still a period of time when there were a lot of single card rulings to make things work rather than just going back to the basic rules of the game and revising those to make sure all the cards worked, because some of them were just too weird. And some of them were also like being changed for power reasons.
Yeah.
Like for a long time, Basalt Monolith, I think I mentioned this recently, for a long time, Basalt Monolith had errata on it that said you couldn't use the mana from a Basalt Monolith to untap it, to activate its untap ability.
Because nuh-uh.
No.
That's the only official reason, because
Not
gonna do it.
But it's not on the card.
And was never printed on the card.
It's never printed on a card, so the only way to know that would be to like read it in Inquest magazine or Scry or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Scry,
4th edition was also the first set to have card art on the packaging.
Oh.
The first core set.
So the first, yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a good call on their part.
And that's, I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah, basically.
4th edition is, it's like rice. You know, it's solid, it holds everything together, but it's kind of boring by itself. Like, there's not much big going on, unlike 5th edition.
There's something big going on there.
Which is like cilantro, because, well, maybe not, because cilantro, did you know that there's a genetic marker that makes cilantro taste like soap to some people?
Yeah.
I think I'd heard that, yeah.
And it's something like less than 20% of the population, but if you reverse that, that's 5th edition. Something like 80% of the people think 5th edition tastes like soap.
Oh, that's a bit harsh. One of 5th edition's issues is that they really didn't exercise much restraint when they were putting it together. And it ended up with 449 cards.
That all? That's ridiculous.
To this day, I bet someone out there would be able to find some 5th edition card that happened to get new art, and they could show it to me, and I'd be like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Because even I would have never seen it before and would not have a good awareness of it. Because there were so many cards.
And a lot of them got new art.
Mm-hmm. A lot. And most of the new art was pretty cool. You look at it and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I remember the 5th edition Black Knight was on the cover of an Inquest.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it was like, Black Knight. And I'm like, nuh-uh. But they changed a lot of... Well, not really changed. They removed a lot of the cards that people just know and love. Like Sarah Angel.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Swords to Plowshares. And Lightning Bolt.
Oh, yeah.
So is this their first attempt to actually balance the core set? And of course, players would look at that and go, "My faves."
To an extent, it had Dark Ritual, and they moved Necropotence into it. So,
Well,
wait, was Necro still bad at this point? I don't think it was.
I don't think it was.
Whoops.
I don't know. I don't remember.
so it's got a massive amount of cards, massive. But with all the cards they threw in there, they took out some of the ones that people really love, like were almost universally loved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this says there are 429. Oh, it's not counting the basics, I bet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 429 cards that aren't basics. Only 235 of those came from 4th edition. So just over half. The rest of them were reprints from Ice Age, Arabian Nights, Antiquities, The Dark Legends, Fallen Empires, and Homelands, and a few from Revised that came out for 4th edition.
You know, you were just running through sets, but when you said the Dark and you followed it by the Legends, immediately it made it sound like the Dark Legends. And I'm like, that sounds like an awesome set. So you got my hopes up. That would be the Dark and Legends. Unless there was a set release.
We haven't done a Mythic conscription for the Dark Legends.
That's true. Yeah, we'll have to do that soon. 5th edition, it says, is also the first core set with cards having new artwork. There were 218 cards with new artwork, which is why, like we said, Mike and I can still, who were playing back then, can still see cards and be like, I don't know what that is. But it doesn't look like there's much else going on here.
Yeah, there was yet another rules revamp. They actually took out some fiddly arcane bits of rule, but added more stuff in to help close up loopholes and make the game run a little more smoothly, and to close off some of the holes in the rules that the rules lawyers would use to screw people over and just spread feel bads.
Oh man, it's also the first core set without anti-cards.
Oh, really?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And from 5th edition on, non-monocolored lands started having a bronze-colored text box. So if it was an artifact from this point on, it had a brown border around it.
Wait, that's a different thing.
Sorry.
Non-monocolored lands had a bronze-colored. I don't recognize that at all.
You know how a forest or a land that only makes green mana has like a green tint in the back of the text box.
Right. Sort of.
So, at the time, lands that could make more than one color of mana, before you had that crazy banded color scheme on the original dual lands.
Right.
But at this point, I don't know what they did in between. I don't think there were any lands where it was actually relevant. But here, instead, they have more of a golden color in the text box for the lands that can make more than one color.
Oh, okay.
Because they brought in the paint lands from Ice Age, right?
Yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, I recognize it. Here's our Dark Wastes in Gatherer.
Yeah, that's what it's talking about.
Yeah, like I said, I recognize it now that I'm looking at it. Although it didn't.
Okay.
It didn't last very long.
No. I mean, after they figured out that, hey, let's do that fade. For two color lands, let's do that fade from one side to the other. That was pretty cool. But they do use something more like this even now for lands that can make more than two.
Yeah, let me... here we go.
If you were to look up Crumbling Necropolis or something.
Like, here's City of Brass, and City of Brass looks like that again in 6th and 7th and 8th.
Mm-hmm.
I guess 8th, not exactly.
So, were they advertising at this point? Because it says 5th edition was the first set to advertise at advanced level. Were they advertising the sets prior in terms of level of content?
What that's talking about is just that's when they first started classifying the sets with beginner, intermediate, advanced ratings.
Okay.
Like Portal was the beginner set.
Right.
It's interesting that 5th edition got the advanced label because in later years the core sets were given the intermediate label and the expansion sets were given the advanced label.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the complexity content of 5th edition, advanced was probably appropriate.
Yeah.
All right, so then 5th edition is the end of an era as far as core sets go. Now remember, at this point, starting with, I guess, revised, core sets were around for 2 years, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's important, because newer players won't understand that. The core set was in standard for 2 years, and when the core set changed, it was like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike now, where every set has its set amount of time. Core sets were really weird in that they were outside of the standard rotation. Sort of. Kind of?
Sort of.
It's very weird. So yeah, when 5th edition went away, we got 6th edition, and had there been an internet like there is now, it would have exploded.
All over the place.
Yep. All of the fanboys would have said...
Did you see what they did with the rules? No, this isn't Magic. It's a game for babies. Yeah,
they're dumbing it down. And there would have been a podcast called The Mana Pool. It would have been like, will you shut up? Use your brain. So yeah, 6th edition, known as Classic.
Which, even if you're okay with the rules changes they made, that's like calling New Coke New Classic Coke.
Yeah. Ask your parents. So, 6th edition was when, we call it the 6th edition rules change.
Yes.
And this is where we got the stack.
Yes. They basically completely ripped out the old timing system with all its odd little nooks and crannies and exceptions and replaced it with the way we play now, which is much more straightforward and really gives you the freedom to do everything you want or need to do and needed to be able to do under the old timing system. There were some functional changes. Like there used to be basically separate speeds for instance and another class that were faster called interrupts. Something like a counterspell. Like counterspell was interrupt. And the way it functioned in the game, the way the game saw itself before that point, was it actually kind of backed up the game and completely canceled the spell that your opponent played, and you act like it was just never cast at all. I mean, they still had to tap their mana and everything, but, which means that you're not really acting like it was never cast at all, which, part of the reason was that some of this was just weird for the sake of being weird. I don't know.
Right.
That's why all of the things that trigger on spells back then said successfully cast.
Yeah, successfully cast, right. Because it wouldn't count as having been cast if it was interrupted and countered.
It's like what I do to you guys all the time. Exactly.
But yeah, no. And with so there was a little bit of a difference. Like you could, if you play a spell and someone's like counterspell, you could actually respond to that counterspell with an instant. It's like, well, I'm going to do this instead, whereas before you wouldn't be allowed to do that.
But you could respond to interrupts with other interrupts.
With other interrupts, yes.
Which is why we had batches and series. And it was a horrible, confusing mess.
Yeah, and part of that was because the rules about what order things started to resolve in were different for batches than they were for series.
But
if you had built up a batch of interrupts, the first one, like the last one, when everyone said, okay, fine, the last one, after that resolved, then all of the other ones that were controlled by the same player would resolve in order. And then the other ones, if they still existed, would start resolving in order. But things in a series would resolve kind of like how we understand them from the stack. It was unnecessarily complicated. So they ripped it out and replaced it with something better. Yeah. They also changed the templating of the cards. That's when they actually started putting creature on the type line of creature cards. Which I'm sure some of the response of... Say what?
Before this, they all said summon something.
Yes. Summon whatever.
Instead of creature stash, whatever the creature type is, it said summon Lurgoyf.
Yeah. And that tech, the creature dash whatever, was actually something that was inspired by the way portal cards were laid out, which was part of the they're dumbing down the game backlash that popped up when 6th edition started to use that. And it's interesting because for templating changes, they would actually start introducing them in sets before the core set. So the 6th edition templating changes first showed up in Urza's Destiny in terms of how the cards looked and, the putting creature on the type line and other things like that.
Oh.
But the rules changes didn't come into effect until 6th edition itself.
So that's the whole thing about the collector numbers. First introduced in Exodus. This is the first one, the first core set that had the collector numbers.
Right, because 5th edition was printed at a time before they were using collector numbers. So when 6th edition finally came around, yeah, it would have been incorporated into those.
Sorry, Dirk jumped. So that's what it is about collector numbers, and blew my mind. I'm like, no one said what?
Well, when he's going through and talking about the so that's why where the collector numbers came up when he was talking about that it shows up in the set prior to the core set.
Yeah, changes to the frame and templating. Yeah.
But yeah, this is where they removed a lot of the flavor of Magic and made it more generic.
But summon is so flavorful.
I quit this game. And yet, here we are. Game will be dead within 6 months. So we've got the stack. They made it to where once you hit 0, you die, instead of being able to do tricks and wait till the end of the phase. So Mirror Universe doesn't work anymore. Well, not that way.
It was funny because even though death from being at 0, you waited till the end of the phase to check. Death from poison was immediate. I don't know why it didn't also wait.
Because you're poisoned, Mike. Jesus.
I guess so.
You had to get 10 counters. By then, the poison's worked its way through your system. But you see, if you're at 0, you're not all the way dead. You're only mostly dead. And there's a chance for Miracle Max to shove a chocolate pill down your throat.
Okay. Okay.
Have fun
Wait a
storming the
second,
castle. Anyway.
Let me check.
They finally fixed the stupid thing that always bothered me, that creatures that were blocking, that were tapped, used to not deal damage for some reason. But they did after 6th, because that was dumb.
That was...
Yeah.
You'd have to jump through some serious hoops to get a tapped creature to block anyway. Or, I guess the thought would be you block and then they go Icy Manipulator, tap your guy, wah.
Would you think they would have just tapped the guy so it couldn't block in the first place?
But then I guess that was like a way to see what you were going to do first. But
Yeah,
Yes.
now they can lure you into, trading in your creature for nothing.
right. So much like other changes they've made since then, making things more intuitive and less like you're trapping new players.
Yeah.
And also, like when they, spoiler alert, when they remove damage from the stack, people were like, they're dumbing the game down. No, it actually makes things like Mog Fanatic not always have exactly the right
No,
play.
we're not there yet. We're not there
I
yet.
know.
But
Interestingly enough, damage on the stack wasn't a thing until the 6th edition rules change.
Right.
Those kinds of interactions actually looked a lot more like they do now before this point.
Yep. Just goes to show you that everything new is old again. Wait, what? Anyway.
so, more on 6th edition. They dropped the number of cards dramatically, thank goodness. It was
Thank
only
goodness.
350 cards as opposed to 449. Jeez. This is also the first core set to have expansion symbol, which I think somebody already said, so never mind.
Maybe. I think there are a few weird 5th edition cards printed for some promotional purpose that had a symbol on them. Or were there Chinese 5th edition cards that had a symbol on them too?
I think that might have been it.
Okay.
Because it says it was the first English language core set to have an expansion symbol.
English language. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Color-coded for rarity, so we had... Not only did we get an expansion symbol on the core set for the first time, but they had the color coding that came from Exodus,
Yes.
along with the artist information and the collector number and all that stuff. It always had the artist information. The artist information was in the center. That's what it is. No cards with trample were printed in 6th edition. What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trample was seen as something that was just kind of difficult to understand. Sometimes it is. And with 6th edition being an intermediate set, they viewed trample as more of an advanced mechanic.
And wasn't that it? Didn't it remain that way for a while?
Yeah, for a while, like even up through like 8th edition, you'd only see trample on a couple rare cards here and there in the core sets.
Weird. But this set was called Classic, even though it removed a lot of the classic cards.
Marketing.
Like, I'm surprised there's nothing about that here in the Gamepedia page.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Shivan Dragon was missing. For example. Like, just a lot of the cards that you would think of when you hear classic Magic cards. Oh, just weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. It was the first core set to have reprints from Alliances, Mirage, Visions, and Weatherlight. So it's still maintaining that thing where a new core set has reprints from all of those sets that have come out since the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's neat. But there's really not much else. Like, other than the rules change, 6th edition was kind of meh.
Yeah.
Also, it didn't get this super bizarre card frame rework.
Oh, yeah.
Where the mana symbols and the artist information and the expansion symbol are all over on the left, leaving a big empty red or whatever color, depending on the card, spot there.
Yeah, it just creates a lot of wasted space.
Yeah, but I've seen these before. Somewhere.
They brought that back a little bit with the future sight, future shifted frame.
True.
They were able to find a way to get around some of the problems with the 6th edition test frame, but yeah.
Yeah.
Glad they didn't go there at the time.
Yeah, it's not all that. So then we go to 7th edition. Now, what year are we in now? 7th edition was 2001.
Yes.
So does that mean that 6th edition was 99? Yeah, okay. And 7th edition was weird.
Yeah.
Because it was the first core set to have a bit of story going on. Mike?
Yeah, it was set in this big war going on between the Northern Paladin and the Southern Paladin on one side. Those are the white aligned paladins. And the Eastern Paladin and the Western Paladin on the other side of the black aligned paladins. And yeah, you can tell from cards here and there that there is a story, but details are really lacking. You just know there's a war, basically. And
Latitude versus longitude. Who will win? Find out this Sunday.
Essentially.
And that's pretty much all you get.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It was also completely new art, every single card.
Yes. Which I'm sure they prided themselves on at the time, but kind of like CGI effects, they haven't aged well.
No, and some people say it was just a design choice on Wizards' part to make the set special. Some people say it had to do with an ongoing licensing dispute with the stable of magic artists, and they essentially brought in a bunch of scabs to do the 7th edition art quickly. I'm not sure which side to believe in terms of the story they're trying to sell there.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was both.
Yeah.
This was also the first core set to have foils.
That's right. And the foils were black bordered instead of white bordered.
Yeah, because we're still in white bordered land, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be for another few years. It was also the first core set to have the basic land in each pack.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I forgot that.
I read it right here. I mean, I knew that for realsies.
Yeah, from years and years of experience.
Yes.
So replace one common in a booster pack. Basic land.
Yeah, and I remember at the time thinking that was... Well, not at the time, but... Because I don't think I'd started playing again. But I remember when I found out about this, I remember thinking it was a little dumb. Like, why are there basics in here?
Probably felt like you lost a card. You got cheated out of a card for a basic land.
Yeah, and this... They're dumbing down the game. You're getting less value for your buck. The prices of packs are going up. This game will be dead in 6 months.
It's better than opening up a pack of revives and getting 4 basic lands.
Yeah.
I told you about that booster pack that I got on eBay one time, right?
Yup.
There was like 4 basic lands, and my rare was Mishra's War Machine. I almost threw that thing across the room.
And no one would have blamed you.
I mean, if the rare was something stupid like a Pure Lace or whatever, I just would have been like, oh, damn. But no, it had to insult me. Mishra's War Machine.
So let's see. Oh yeah, Sarah Angel, Shivan Dragon, and Mahamudi Jin returned. So, classic.
Yeah. But not Singer Vampire.
But no, not Singer Vampire, because he's too good or something.
And Green still didn't have an iconic whatever creature yet.
Wait, 7th was where they did the... Yeah, this is where they did the replacement for Trample. Lone Wolf, Pride of Lions, Thorn Elemental.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
It says vertical cycle, but yeah, the ones that... Yeah.
Well, yeah, because there's one at common, one at uncommon, and one at rare.
Oh.
And, yeah, they thought Trample was... They were still on that kick where Trample's too confusing for a... what was this level set? Whatever.
Pretty sure it was called Intermediate.
Yeah. But, they didn't... People didn't like that either.
No.
I think in 8th edition they brought Trample back, I think, but we'll find out in a minute.
Yeah, I think Force of Nature. Was that the one where Force of Nature was the pre-release promo?
8th edition... Actually, yeah, I think it is. 7th edition also had theme decks. The first core set to have theme decks.
Ooh.
So that's cool.
They were monocolored.
Yes. Like you'd expect from, hey, that's what we're getting now. Hey!
Hey.
Except they're not theme decks. They're Planeswalker decks. They're theme decks. So, there you go. But it looks like that's about it for 7th edition. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
7th was the first... Well, I want to say 6th was the first one I actually bought a pack for, like a tournament pack. But 7th was the first one I actually bought one with the interest of learning the game. I think that was sort of my foundation whenever I started playing with you guys.
Oh yeah, I should probably go back. I bought some revised and 4th, because like I said, 4th was the new thing when I started. So I had a lot of 4th and some revised because, revised was still kicking around.
Yeah. Let's see, at the very beginning I just had stuff that people had given me, and I would dig through this 10-cent bin for singles. But the first time I got a booster pack or a starter deck of anything was 5th edition. Because around Christmas time they were doing this special bundle where basically you were getting a free booster pack with the purchase of a starter.
Nice.
And I got one of those for Christmas.
All right then.
And Brian, I think he picked up right when I did at 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Brian's being unusually quiet. You all right, buddy?
I'm letting you guys talk. I know that's unusual, but yeah, we picked up at the same time,
Like
thanks to
you all right?
going to college.
Yeah.
So then we come to 8th edition. The grand... Yeah, the grand...
The one that broke the game. Everyone quit after that.
Game will be dead in 6 months. This is 2003.
So you just mentioned that I've been unusually quiet. Well, so as Dirk said, 7th edition was where he and I kind of came into the game, but it had already been out for a little bit. 8th edition was our first time experiencing. They're changing the rules. They're changing the way the cards look. They're changing fundamentals about the game. And Dirk and I said, okay.
Yeah, I think we were more receptive of the new rules and everything, whereas
And there
everyone else was.
And there was even an internet at the time. Although, I will say, there was some discussion in Chewy's room with Corey about, did it feel like they were losing some of the fantasy feeling as far as when you look at the new frames? But they're just so much easier to read and to understand. I mean, you look at some of the old power and toughness on some old black cards, and it's like, is it bad that I don't know how big my own card is?
Yeah, power and toughness, mana symbols.
The names on
the
white
name.
cards.
Yeah, they were just
White
sometimes
cards are really difficult to read from across the table.
Yeah, sometimes they were just bad. And on the Wizards website, the Magic website, which was totally the mothership was a thing at this point.
Yep.
They did some side-by-side comparisons when they revealed the new card frame.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, huh.
Yeah.
That is easier to read.
That is in fact better. It didn't hurt that they did them against 7th edition cards, so you're just like, yeah.
So yeah, the art. This is the card frame that basically we still have, kind of, sort of. They've changed it again, but not as dramatically.
Not as dramatic. They changed the bottom of the card as far as the border, and they've changed very, very recently Legends.
Yeah, the Dominarian crown molding.
Which is a very, very, very recent change. Again, Dominaria. So,
but that's pretty much it. And so the art was bigger. There were little boxes around everything, so to separate it from the background that just offset it so you could, freaking read it. But, of course, people hated it, and the game will be dead in 6 months. But all in all, I think we all took, at the very least, it was,
Yeah.
All
it
of us.
It wasn't a very hard sell on us.
Yeah, all of us are, I think the bare minimum of enthusiasm was meh. I think it ranged, I think Corey was one of those who was like, it's alright, I guess. And others of us were like, this is awesome! But I don't even know if anyone was that far. But it wasn't like we hated it. And we had a big group at this point.
I do remember my very, very first impression was, why would they change it? There's nothing wrong with this. And then, like you were saying, the side-by-side comparisons, that was enough to convince me, wow, that's a lot better.
Yeah, the whole, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, only applies if you...
Yeah, if it isn't actually broke.
Yeah, if it is broken and you don't realize it, that doesn't count. But, so we got the new card frame, which was huge. Let's see. The tap symbol changed again. I don't think I realized that.
Did? Was that when they took it off of the background and it was just the arrow?
It's just the arrow, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, before it was a gray circle with a 45-degree card with an arrow in it. And apparently I'm allergic to that.
That seems oddly specific. You might want to see a doctor.
I know, right? But now it's the gray symbol with the arrow. Or the gray circle with the arrow. Huh. I did not... that shows how much attention we were paying. I didn't realize that at the time, I don't think. Weird.
Is that also when they took out the colored bubble from mana symbols that were in text boxes?
Yeah, well... Hang on. Colored frames, no. Early... Yeah, mana symbols appearing in the text box of artifacts were no longer colored.
Okay.
That's weird. And then the Gamepedia page says, some players felt the new look interfered with the classical, in quotes, fantasy feel of the game. And that's all it says. Hang on, there's an external link. Hang on, where does that go? Oh, it goes to a Rosewater article. Okay.
Yeah, they did have to adjust it a little further because the issue became more apparent in Mirrodin block that the coloration of the white frame and the artifact frame, the new silver artifact frame instead of the brown one, were just too close together.
Yeah.
So they had to, they darkened the artifact frame. I can't remember if it was in Darksteel or Fifth Dawn.
It was in Fifth Dawn.
Okay. They darkened that to help distinguish them from one another a little better.
Yeah. Because remember that was a complaint we had is it white or is it an artifact?
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, that's the thing. That was the other thing that came with the new card frame, is that artifacts got a silver border instead of the classic brown. Which I think was a thing that, out of the whole card frame thing, I think some of us, not us four, but us in our play group, specifically didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Because artifacts are brown. Like, of all the things to change, why would they change that?
Yeah.
But we got over it quickly since the next... Wasn't the next set Mirrodin?
Yeah, it was Mirrodin.
Yeah.
And we got really desensitized to it.
That would do it, yeah.
I bet that's why they did it, too. Like, okay, if we're going to change this, we got to do it now.
Well, and then by Fifth Dawn...
Let's not make the table just look like someone crapped all over it.
But by Fifth Dawn, while we're talking about core sets, if you recall, by Fifth Dawn, people were so confused in drafts about whether they were drafting white cards or artifacts that by Fifth Dawn they are darkened the artifacts again. Because it was terrible. You remember that? It was awful.
Yeah. I remember that.
I think Brian wandered off while we had that discussion a minute ago. So,
Oh, sorry.
but what else?
Fear was also the first core set to see fear in print.
Right, yeah. Well,
like
to see a
Severed
keyword.
Legion and stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
the keyword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave it a keyword before this.
In Odyssey,
Wasn't it?
Odyssey or
Was it
Onslaught?
Was it-
keyword in Onslaught?
it might or Onslaught. I'm sorry.
Onslaught.
I know it was an Onslaught because of the
There was Severed Legion. There was
the Severed Legion. That's the one. It was
yeah.
like the little hand
Yeah.
thing. I can't think of the name.
the little hand thing. Makes me think of the little hand thing that could.
What was
Yeah.
it? No, what was it from Adam's Family
Mr.
Thing.
It.
Thing.
Oh, yeah.
thing? Yeah, thing
Yeah.
running across the ground.
Yeah. Your cousin It was the hairball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is also where we got the word basic on lands in 8th edition. Oh.
Yeah, the super type.
Yeah. Before, that term just appeared in the rule book, and you were just meant to understand that the basics were plains, island, swamp, mountain, forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did that specifically because what was it? There were cards that say go and look for non-basic land, or they
And
changed the rules so that.
Yeah, there were cards before then that said stuff like that. Go look for a basic land, destroy all the non-basic lands. But you just had to know it. Those words weren't actually written on any card on the type line.
Those just were the basic lands.
Yeah, and they want to minimize the stuff you just have to know without it actually being written on the card in front of you.
Right. Like wall. Like walls not being able to attack.
Yeah.
When did we get Defender? Is that Mirrodin?
Champions of Kamigawa?
Is it really that long? Oh, that's right, because Champions had creatures that
Had
were,
non-wall creatures with Defender.
Thank you. Like the Yojimbo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. There was something else about 8th edition.
The art was not terrible.
The
That was in fact a thing.
Oh, this is where they first started. They marketed it as core set.
Oh, yeah.
And it says here, because there were concerns that older base sets confuse newer players, their primary audience, by making them feel like they missed out on 5 or 6 previous editions and were hopelessly behind.
I would say good luck finding Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised. Good luck to catch up.
And 8th edition was actually also the 10th anniversary. And
Yeah, because I remember, what was it, eBay or whatever was selling them. You could buy a box for almost dirt cheap. 'Cause I want to say, wasn't you could buy 2 boxes for like $100?
I severely doubt that.
No, if I remember right, you could get a box of 8 for a lot less than you previously could get a box, like a booster box for.
Like when it was new?
Yeah, when it was just about to come out. How much? I wonder how much did they print of 8th edition?
Does it say?
I don't think it
Does
says.
not say.
I think they had stopped making that information public a long time before
Yeah.
this.
But yeah, because it was the 10th edition, they made a big deal about reprinting at least one card from every set that wasn't in a base set. Like, so you remember that? Like, they gave us...
Yes, I do.
I don't remember any of the cards now, but at the time it was a huge deal. Like, they would... And look, here's the card from Arabian Nights. Oh my god! And here's the cut, which was Rook Egg, I think, right?
Yeah, Rook Egg. And Rook Egg was the pre-release promo.
Was it?
Yeah.
I might not have
Or was it
gone
the
to
launch promo?
I don't know.
It was something like it was either the pre-release promo or the launch promo, and it had a special 10th anniversary watermark in the foil.
Yeah. But yeah, so every previous set had one card that had never been in a base set before. Some of them were neat, some of them were less so, but it was a big deal. I wonder. Selecting 8th edition wrap up. Aha! What is this? Oh yeah, we had votes. You remember that?
Voting, yes.
Yeah.
Like they were
That's
voting
right.
on the website. Like Two-Headed Dragon defeated Crimson Hellkite.
Hmm.
Yes.
And that one
Man,
pissed me off because I really wanted Crimson Hellkite.
I had forgotten about that.
Wow. Birds of Paradise and Vine Trellis defeated Llanowar Elves and Utopia Tree.
Yep.
Cool.
We had our own hand in making core sets. And of course, they would only, pick cards that they thought would be balanced.
Well,
But
yeah.
still.
But yeah, and then, Rosewater did an article where he went through and showed off everything that had been printed, or that was coming from an old set. Phyrexian Arena from Mercadian Masks, Plow Under from Urza's Destiny, Defense Grid from Urza's Legacy. Just, there's a whole mess. That's cool. Okay, let's move on. 9th edition. Anything else in 8th edition? I think we've probably beaten it to death.
Hmm.
So 9th edition in 05 was 359 cards. Only up 2 from 8th edition, which was 357.
Yeah.
Some of the reprints for the set were decided upon through public voting again. Huh. Weird. And it was the last set to have white borders, because, yep, in 2005, we're still in white border land. Still had foils.
No tournament packs. So they stopped doing tournament packs after this.
Right.
Really? Oh, this is where Fat Packs started, isn't it? No, this is where Fat
Theme
Packs
deck,
got
theme decks, a
retooled.
fat pack, and a core game. So
Yeah, the 9th edition Fat Pack was... I think 9th edition was where they changed what Fat Packs were.
Yeah.
To have the 2 cardboard boxes and all the card dividers and all of that inside, instead of a book that no one wants to read.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, this was the first time Trample and Protection came back, was 9th edition.
Oh yeah, that's right. Protection too.
Yeah.
Well, that's just that was.
Because 9th edition had, was it Force of Nature?
Yeah, that was where Force of Nature was the...
And it was like,
the
hey, look,
previous
here's
card.
Trample. And we're like, yes, Trample.
Wow, I'd forgotten that it took that long. Jeez. Let's see. Oh, this is where Auras first showed up. It's the first core set to have equipment. Because equipment hadn't been around until after the last core set, so,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Luxon on Warhammer.
Which I
Moved
believe was
up in
moved up to
rarity.
rare. Which
Like,
exactly
no,
where
duh.
it should be. Yeah. We're all like, we could have told you that.
This was when they pared down the full cycle of Circle of Protection to just Circle of Protection Black and Red.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe white having an answer to every other color doesn't feel exactly correct.
Yeah.
Although it is interesting to note, and maybe we'll talk about this like in a full episode at some point, Wizards' attitude towards hate has evolved and changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We also... Oh, go ahead.
It says here creature types that they got race class model.
Yeah, this is where they were reworking how creature types worked in Magic.
So they became, instead of changing from, was changed from cleric, talking about the Samite healer,
Mm-hmm.
went from being a cleric to a human cleric. So that's it clarified, and that was good for, let's say, Kamigawa block and Ravnik block, where they were being syncing them up with the conventional used in those. So wasn't it right after this? Was that Lorwyn?
No, after Saviors. Gosh, what was after Kamigawa got Ravnica?
It was Ravnica was after that,
Okay.
wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the Grand Creature Type update was in 07.
Okay. So that was still a couple of years out.
So yeah, this is just where they started to work on that with the whole race class model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was about to say, because Lorwyn is when it became a big deal for them to have the race class thing.
Well, that's when the mechanically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9th edition didn't have a whole lot special going on.
Was that? Wow, Ninth Edition was kind of boring, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At the time, it was pretty sweet. Like, it's where Hypnotic Spectre came back, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And he wasn't table flippingly oppressive without Dark Ritual to back him up.
You take
it
that
almost
back.
sound saying that Dark Ritual's the problem, Mike.
Yeah, Dark Ritual's fine.
Was this the one where...
All right, I think we're back. Hopefully everything's fixed. There's a minor technical difficulty. So sorry that you had to listen to that video game death music. Now,
Right.
sound effect, not music.
So basically, to sum up what we were talking about, yeah, the original set of Lucky Charms were holdovers from Alpha, and they were just kind of a pain to use because they required a mana payment every time. But Ninth Edition replaced them with the set of charms that was in Darksteel, where you had to pay 2 mana instead of 1 to play them, but then they didn't require any more mana input from you for the rest of the game. So it's just a lot more convenient.
You just had to be more vigilant to make sure when a spell of certain color was played that you actually gained the life. That was the only downside.
Yeah, I mean, you still had to pay as much attention as you did before, but I guess before, if you were tapped out, you could stop paying attention because you knew you couldn't activate it.
Yay.
Huzzah.
All right, so that's Ninth Edition.
Yes.
Then we get 10th Edition, which was 2007, which had 383 cards. And it's the return of the black border, or the end of the filthy white border. Yay!
Yeah, it's really easy to notice dirt on a white border.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so this also is the final core set that was the somethingth edition.
Yep.
And it's also the end of the 2-year core set cycle. Also the end of that. Whoever just got shot. But,
No.
it was the first time also that we got legendary creatures in a core set. Gasp!
Dun dun dun.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah, we got, what, 1 in each color?
Mm-hmm.
No, 2 in each color.
Wait a minute. That can't be the first time. Because Rhea Dawnbringer was a pre-release promo.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. The first time since 5th no. For the first time, Wizards of the Coast put legendary creatures in a core set. That's what it says. I don't know.
That can't be right. Let me look at some stuff.
Rhea Dawnbringer was a what?
I thought Rhea Dawnbringer was a launch promo or something for an earlier core set. Just a second here.
Uh-oh.
Never mind, that says 10th. I don't know what I'm thinking of.
Mike is still just learning how to magic again, everyone.
I am. It's troublesome.
We had a few weeks without recording a show, and he just lost it all. Wait, it says each color got 2. Really?
Uh-huh.
Mhm. And an was it artifact? And a legendary artifact. It's a weapon.
Yeah, and they added Legacy Weapon with that weird new art.
Oh, and a legendary artifact, a legacy weapon. Okay,
Yeah.
not each one got an artifact. Never
No,
mind.
colored artifacts wasn't a thing yet at this point, right?
No,
No,
that's
not yet.
very recent.
That was like a Lara block?
Alara block.
Yeah,
There were some in Mirrodin block that had colored activation costs, but
right.
actual colored artifacts didn't show up until Lorwyn Shadowmoor.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, Sarkomite Mirror. Shut up. But,
Well, that was just right before this, and that was Future Sight, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so Future Sight doesn't count.
So, is this the first one to have token? 6 tokens in 10?
Yes.
Oh, you mean like the token cards?
Yeah, the token cards.
Wow, was it really?
It was. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And we've been thankful ever since.
I completely forgot that started. Well, this is the first core set?
Yeah, the first core set. I can't remember what other expansion sets around them also had it, but before they were just like the first set of token cards were the ones in unglued, and then there were player rewards tokens that you could get, in the mail every once in a while if you were signed up with the program and you got enough points between mailings. But yeah, 10th edition had tokens that would actually come in booster packs.
Oh, yeah.
Interspersed with the tips and tricks cards and the rules tips cards and the advertisements.
It
Wasn't
says,
this also the one where the players, like the big players, had their own cards too? Do you remember those?
The pro cards?
The pro player card? I'm pretty sure they were around before this, right?
Yeah, I know there were pro player cards in Ravnica block boosters. I don't know if there were ever pro player cards in core set boosters.
Okay. I just remember there being pro player cards, like in the packs at some point. I didn't remember if it was this or it was something else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, on the page for tokens, it says since 10th edition, tokens appear as marketing cards in booster packs. So yeah, this is the first time we got token card. Now, token cards actually first came for Unglued. And then there were the Magic Player Awards, and then nothing until 10th edition.
Yeah.
I'm actually not seeing terribly much else. Oh. Okay, going back to the creature types, right before the Grand Creature Type update was when 10th edition came out.
Right.
And hey, Brian's back. And they were updated to sync them up.
Sorry.
With the upcoming Grand Creature Type update. Huh.
Okay.
Neat. We've got... So, legendary creatures, tokens... That's about it, really. Oh, here we go. All products except the boosters contained a random pro player card.
Pro player cards.
Okay, here we go. Pro player cards started in 05. They were 05, 06, and 07.
Okay.
Trying to basically make players that weren't invested in the Pro Tour scene and the higher level scene invested in that and follow it kind of like celebrities or like baseball cards or something.
Yeah.
It was an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, I know who some of these people are because of their pro player cards. I'm not going to lie. I don't know at the time if I would have been able to tell you who Rich Hohen was. Actually, didn't he win a pro tour? I might have been able to tell you who he was.
Mm-hmm.
Have to say, though, I always appreciated Antonino De Rosa's pro player cards.
See the one that make the goofy faces?
And at least one of them. But anyway. So yeah, it looks 10th edition, for it to be the last one of its type, is kind of boring.
Mm-hmm. The Legends were a nice touch.
Yeah.
The Legends were a nice touch, but quite frankly, doesn't boring sum up some of the approach of core sets to this point?
That is true, yeah. Because up to this point, and isn't this where it ends? Core sets were all reprints all the time. Right? M10 is where we started getting new cards, right?
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way. Yeah. But Brian makes a good point. Boring is sort of the deal once you get past the big... Because each one had a thing. In this case, it was the Legends. Whoa. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
I think there were also special versions of some cards in foil where the normal printing of them had a bunch of reminder text in the text box, and the foil printing stripped out all the reminder text and just left the rules text.
Yeah, or some of them actually had flavor text that wasn't on the not shiny version. Yeah.
You're right. I heard about
Hang
that.
on. There's a link. Oh no, I scrolled away. Marketing code. Where was that? Damn it. Mike, this is all your fault.
It probably is.
Here we go. Didn't appear on the non-foil versions. Dang. Oh, yeah. Added flavor. Wow, there's a lot. It's actually if you just... Oh, wait, no. There's a lot that had flavor text that wasn't on the non-foil.
Oh, wow.
Like Just in White, Ancestors Chosen, Avon Cloud Chaser, Heart of Light, Holy Strength, Paladin Invec, Pariah, Sarah's Embrace, Sky Hunter Skirmisher, Spirit Link. All of those had flavor text that was only on the foil. Presumably because of reminder text.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I'm remembering so much doing this, I gotta say. Because how often do you think back about core sets?
About core sets, exactly. Well, after this point, a little more frequently, I think.
Yes, because this is the point where core sets changed fundamentally.
So, we leave our Nth Edition behind and move forward into Magic Year. The first one up, Magic 2010, which always annoyed me that M10 came right after 10th Edition.
Yeah, in 2009, no less, because they did it. They did it with the car, the car model theory of you're going to be playing this mostly in the next year. So, if players heard Magic 2009, would they think they couldn't play it in 2010?
Also, some mass marketers like Target and Walmart and whatever, they'd be more inclined to take something off the shelves if it still had the previous years, if it still had the previous year on it.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe they'd offer it a discount. Hey, this is old. This isn't good anymore. Somebody smell this. Oh, put it down to 25%.
One thing that M10 intro packs, it's the first time that the intro packs had two colors instead of monocolored.
Wow, it was. And they weren't even like just allied or enemy colors, it was some of each.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is cool. So there was a white red, a blue black, a black green, a blue red, and a white green. Huh. Neat. I've forgotten about that. But the big thing is, instead of every other year we get a new core set and there's a core set rotation, now every year we get a core set and there's just one rotation every year and the core set rotates with it.
Right.
Which made things a lot easier.
But M10 also brought about the infamous rules change, where they went just ham. They're like, you know what? These are the way the game is going to change, and we're going, whole hog.
Oh, yeah, this is a huge rules change, wasn't it?
No more mana burn. And we thought removing the mana pool was bad, but no more mana burn. No more damage on the stack. I'm doing this without actually looking at the guide. This is off the top of my head, but there's like 5 or 6 other changes, right? So,
yeah, that's also when they introduced they renamed the in-play zone the battlefield, and they introduced the distinction between like play, cast, activate, instead of just using the word play for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because play was used way too much.
This is also where exile became a thing.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, listeners, all the way up to 2009, it was still removed from the game.
Yeah.
I always thought it was interesting that...
even when there were major set mechanics that were using it as a holding area to do stuff with in the game. Nope.
Like Time Spiral. I always thought it was interesting that the card Path to Exile was released a year or two before the term Exile was used as a zone. And what's it do? It puts a creature in exile. So, hey, foreshadowing.
How about that? So, yeah, this is when the core set became the fourth set of the year.
Yeah.
Like, because before, every other year you got a core set, but every non-core set year there was some other thing. Like, they did the Lorwyn Eventide thing. That was later. Wait, Lorwyn was before Alara, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we got the the Morningtide Eventide thing where it was weird. And we got Cold Snap one year, and there was Unhinged one year. But now it's just the 3 sets in the block and then the core set. which made it to where we got fewer surprises. They still swap things up with, hey, this is a big set again, haha, but the number of sets wouldn't change.
Right.
Thank goodness. Of course, then they started throwing supplemental products at us left and right, and never-ending preview season, but more predictable. So,
Yeah.
M10 had Planeswalkers for the first time, and Mythics for the first time, because Mythics weren't a thing. Wait. Yeah, Mythics weren't a thing when 10th edition came out, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the first set to actually have the mythic rarity was, in fact, Shards of Alara.
Which I always forget that for some reason.
It had that Sarkhan Vol that everybody, including myself, was like, this is going to be amazing. And as we have learned from Planeswalker cards, Planeswalkers that sometimes look amazing don't always do anything, depending on the environment.
And that also meant that, well, that also doesn't also mean anything, but another thing about M10, as we said before, it's the first time we got new cards that were not reprints.
Yes.
And it's where they printed, like, some, bringing it back to the present, they printed some answers to things that were in the meta. I don't know what. It just says that here. Developing an answer. Oh, let's go read this article. What's in the card? Oh! Great Sable Stag.
Yeah, it was intended to be an answer to fairies.
Yeah, and Celestial Purge. Wait, no. Celestial Purge. Oh, Celestial Purge was put in it, though. No.
Right.
Oh, he's just talking about Great Sable Stag. These are all just examples of cards that weren't cutting it. So they printed Great Sable Stag. Oh, thanks, Eric Lauer. But anyway, so going back to the rules changes, we got Battlefield, Exile, Cast Play, and Activate. The beginning of the end step. No more at end of turn. They got rid of Mana Burn, which pissed me off. They changed who owned tokens, which was always really stupid and confusing.
Yeah.
And the big one, combat damage no longer uses the stack.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember I was sore about that one at first until I finally got to see what the change actually meant. Brian brought it up before when he was jumping ahead.
Yep.
With the rules introduced in 6th edition, with damage on the stack, now it's time to make responses. Really, it meant there was only one correct line of play for any given situation, and if you don't do it, you made a mistake. If you don't know to do it, then people are gonna perceive you as less skilled or less experienced, and if you find out that you missed it, you're gonna feel bad. But when you actually have to make a decision about whether to make this response or let the creature deal its damage and die, that's strategy. When you actually have to make the decision instead of following the program, damage on the stack, do this thing.
Yeah, so the perpetual example is your opponent has a 1/1 on the board, and he attacks you. You have a Mog Fanatic, which has the ability sacrifice to deal 1 damage to something. So you would block the 1/1, put its damage on the stack, and then sacrifice your Mog Fanatic to deal the 1 damage to your opponent's face. That is the only optimal line of play in this scenario. Now, you have to decide if the 1 point of damage to your opponent's face is worth it, or do you let the Mog Fanatic trade? And this gets better if there's another 1/1 over there on your opponent's side that's not involved in combat. Do you block this to not take the damage and then let it trade here, or do you sacrifice it to ping that one over there? Before, you could do both. You block the 1/1, you kill the other 1/1. Hey, look at that. And that's not strategy. That's the one line of play that makes any damn sense. And this way, you have to make a choice. You have to make a decision. You have to take everything into account that's going on. And for some reason, that's dumbing down the game, according to its naysayers. But it's because of the long history of Magic players hating change. Change is bad. Game will be dead in 6 months.
Yeah, but hopefully with us having explained it this way, you can see that it actually rewards the better player doing it this way.
Not the player who knows the rules better, the player who is able to adapt to what's going on.
Yeah, the player who was able to play better.
Yeah.
This one actually made so much more sense because whenever Brian and I were starting to play, I did something and was attacked Corey at some point, and he did all kinds of mumbo jumbo. And by the end of it, I thought, I don't understand how this game works in terms of how damage is dealt.
Mm-hmm.
And then when this came in, it's like, oh my gosh, it now actually makes sense that my creature dealt damage to your creature because you blocked it. That's how it's supposed to work. Because like they were saying, prior to it, you would do this, and then this could happen, and you're just going, but you blocked my creature. Your creature's supposed to be dead. Unless you did something that said, no, you didn't. But yeah, it made it much better and much more coherent to how this actually should be played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
And keeping in mind that core sets are supposed to be an entry into the game. That they think that, you're learning about Magic, you want to learn how to play, you're probably not picking up, some really advanced product. You might be, but they're thinking this is the intended entry. What better way to make things a little more understandable than with this new core set? Right? Wasn't that part of the logic?
Yeah.
And then they turned Death Touch and Lifelink into a static ability, which is a thing that still comes up every once in a while. The old Spirit Link, as colloquially we have started to call it, was a triggered ability that happened after damage was dealt, but now Lifelink happens at the same time, and that was a big deal.
It makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because now multiple instances of Lifelink are no longer cumulative; they don't stack. So if there's a creature with Lifelink and you gave it Lifelink, you don't gain the life twice. Because that doesn't actually make sense. So, yeah. It was... It was overall... negative. People just didn't like it. But I think overall it's better. Which is what R&D thought. Which is why they did it.
Yeah.
They're not usually in the habit of doing things that they don't want to do. Sometimes they regret their actions later, and they're big enough to say, hey, oops, but
it's because it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
They're not going to do something because it seems like a bad idea at the time.
Usually not.
Yeah. And this is also where we got the juggernaut that is Baneslayer Angel. So, there's that.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Planeswalkers, right?
Yeah.
That was the advent of the $40 tournament level mythic rare.
Yep. And it's because Baneslayer Angel was the big bad Mamma Jamma for a good little while. I guess until, 11?
Yeah, until the Titans showed up, yeah.
I was going to say, did we get Titans in 11? Yep. Okay. So let's go on to M11 then. Magic 2011, which came out in 2010. Don't ask. Apparently, it takes place on Chandalar. I guess it says that's where all of these take place.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They shifted the core sets to Chandalar as their generic fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Because Dominaria was kind of busted up.
Yeah, Dominaria had been wrecked more times than we could care to count.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all of the stuff that didn't, come from somewhere else, they just said came from Chandalar. But Chandalar, to my knowledge, didn't really have much world building or anything like that at the time.
No, it was just kind of left over from the old Microprose computer game.
Yeah, which is commonly referred to as what?
Duels of
Switch. Was it Chandalar?
Chandalar. Oh.
Yeah.
Was it also called Duels of the Planeswalkers, officially?
I don't think so.
Okay.
At least I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, there was something I forgot to mention. Part of there were two main things driving their motivation for introducing new cards into the core set starting in Magic 2010. The first thing was basically, it's like, remember back in the day, just like when Alpha and Beta, this is them talking to themselves. just Alpha Beta Unlimited, all that other stuff, we could design top down and make cards that really resonated with people. And you pick it up and you read it and you get it and you're like, yeah, that's awesome. They want to be able to do more of that. And, core sets are also supposed to be this basic part of the game that contain the basic important stuff that you need to build decks with and to supplement the cards that you get from the expansions to build your decks with. And sometimes the card that they want a card that does a certain thing. It really doesn't exist yet in the form they want it to. How about we just let ourselves make the card we want to put here?
Without having to shoehorn it into an expansion.
Yes, without having to shoehorn it into an expansion and then wait another year to reprint it.
Right. Yeah. And also, as an example of the dedication to top-down, they could also take cards that they already liked that seemed perfectly balanced, but couldn't be reprinted for flavor reasons or due to, shifts in the color palette, things like that. The biggest one that I think comes to mind is Remove Soul being turned into Essence Scatter, where they're like, yeah, Remove Soul is not the name of a blue card.
Yeah, it sounds like a murder spell from Black.
Yeah, maybe that, Legends of the Dark expansion I'm hearing so much about. So,
I remember when I was in middle school, people would try to use it as a kill spell because it says Remove Soul and it shows a skeleton getting the flesh zapped off of it. So it's a kill spell.
So I remember when this came out, some people were like, it's Essence Scatter is Remove Soul, and you're going to make me invest in having a new a playset of a new common spell. Yeah, this is insane, and da-da-da. And, I get that, and to a certain extent, like, I think if they printed a rare card with the same name as an existing rare card that's a chase rare that is in every deck, and they're like, hey, I need to buy it again, that'd be one thing. But
yeah, like if an M
or they printed Schmeitning Bolt, caused a whole other set of problems.
Like if in M10 they had Baneslayer Angel and in M11 they had Slain Bayer Angel, yeah, that would have been a problem. But for like Civic Wayfinder,
that sounds like it should be an Innistrad card.
It does, doesn't it? But like, I mean, Civic Wayfinder, the 2/2 for 3 that goes to get a basic land and puts it in your hand.
Yeah.
Why did that? There was no problem with printing that again and making it an elf and giving it a name that was generic, Civic Wayfinder. That's not tied to a particular place.
Yeah, the name only works on Ravnica. It only makes sense on Ravnica.
Oh, right, that was... So wait, what did they reprint? Or what did they print to take its place? Because there was a thing just like that.
It was some ranger.
No.
I can see the art, but I can't remember his name.
Borderland Ranger?
Is it Borderland Ranger? Yeah. But yeah, Civic Wayfinder, you're right. Because of the city, that only makes sense in a Ravnica type place. But Borderland Ranger, that doesn't have city in it anywhere. And yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, I had it backwards. But like another example they give here is Nessian Courser was in Theros. Well, in Future Sight. And then later in Theros. But this Nessian Courser is tied to a place or a type or a thing somewhere else that we hadn't seen yet. But Centaur Courser is not. So there's your flavor example of just a new card that just fills a hole, a 3/3 for 3, but they didn't want to make it a bear or an elephant or something. So boom, Centaur. Fantasy. Nice. Get there. So it seems like we're laboring the point. This was a big deal at the time, because remember, core sets had always been reprints forever and ever, amen. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Okay, so M11?
M11, yes. I forgot that's what I interrupted when I first jumped in.
Titans.
Also, by the way, M10 was 249 cards, which is way down from 10th edition. 10th edition was
383.
383, yeah. Actually, all of these M-somethings up to M14 were 249 cards. So they because it was happening every year and there were going to be lots more rotations, they didn't feel the need for it to be so damn huge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and yeah, the Titans. The Titans that wrecked Standard for multiple years because they reprinted them because they're stupid. Titans obsoleted. Okay, Baneslayer Angel was the bad Mamma Jamma, and then they printed the Titans and obsoleted the Baneslayer Angel.
Obsoleted entire classes of cards.
Yes.
Because if you didn't have something that didn't have an immediate, noticeable impact on the game state right after you played it, what are you doing with your life? You're just wasting everyone's time.
Question all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Titans, of course, they had the enters the battlefield ability, and that ability also happened whenever they attacked. And they were all 6/6s for 6.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all busted. Like, even the worst one was the best one. Like,
Yes.
like every one of the 5 Titans saw some sort of play before it rotated out of standard.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like whichever one people thought was the bad one would be the next one that would show up a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Like Frost Titan was the bad one, so of course Frost Titan suddenly became a staple in all of these decks. And then, well, that means Inferno Titan's the bad one. Nope, here comes this red deck that's gonna Inferno Titan your face off. Okay, well, the black one is clearly... Nope, it's awesome. Oh. The white one? No, see this 2-mana clone? Yeah, the white one's good. Damn it. Everything is awful, is what I'm saying.
Everything is awful. Sorry.
Okay, the green one's like, nope, here's an Eldrazi on turn 6.
Yeah.
Arrgh.
Yeah, Primeval Titan was so good that it got banned in freaking Commander. But anyway, what else was in M11? We had Planeswalkers that each had their own spells,
Oh, yeah.
making
They
them
have common
more...
ones and uncommon ones.
I think?
I think they did.
Maybe?
For some of them, they had creature buddies, too. Did all of them have a creature buddy, or was that a different core set?
I don't know. It just says there were 2 cycles of signature spells to go with the Planeswalkers in the set.
Okay, so spells.
So this is where they started turning them into characters more, as opposed to just some cards.
Okay, so Jace's Phantasm didn't show up until M13, so I guess that's when they had creature buddies.
Okay. So what was the thing in this set? Were they doing this yet, where each core set brought back an ability?
Oh, brought back a thing? Yeah. Scry.
Ah. Nice.
Which now we can see show up anywhere, because it just turned out to be so useful for making the game work.
Yeah. Kind of wish they'd do that with cycling, but then I realized that they probably shouldn't.
Yeah, that causes problems sometimes. Oh, let me put this huge creature in my graveyard. Darn.
All right, then. So I guess that's pretty much it.
M11? Yeah.
Yeah, M11 was... Oh, here we go. The uncommon signature spells, Ajani's Pridemate, Jace's Ingenuity, Liliana's Caress, Chandra's Spitfire, and Garrick's Pack Leader. So some of them were creature buddies.
Oh, okay.
And then the common ones, Ajani's Mantra, Jace's Erasure, Liliana's Spectre, Chandra's Outrage, and Garrick's Companion. Ah.
That's right. Garrett got 2 creatures. Okay.
Well, yeah, because he's green, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got some Lords, that Knight Exemplar that we talked about last week. Captivating
Right.
Vampire, Merfolk Sovereign, Goblin Chieftain, Elvish Archdruid. Ah.
Yay, Goblin Chieftain.
Yeah, the last 3 of those were reprints from the previous ones, but still.
Mhm. Still.
Yeah, alright, so M12. Which was from 2011. 249 cards again. Oh, this one was this hexproof?
Was this the one that had the emphasis on... is this the one that had Nicol Bolas in it?
Maybe?
Looking it up. Keep going.
Fair enough. Yeah, we got the freaking Titans again.
Yeah, Hexproof and Bloodthirst.
Oh, this is where hexproof was
Codified?
was created.
Keywords.
Yeah, keyworded. That's the word. Bloodthirst was the
It
returning.
Troll Shroud before this.
Yeah. We got Planeswalkers again, but we had Gideon and Sorin instead of the and new Planeswalker cards. Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, well, yeah, Gideon and Soren had cards in the set. For the first time, 3 new Planeswalker cards were made for a core set. Right.
Yeah, that was the Chandra, the Garrick, and the Chase.
Yeah.
M12 also gave us dies.
See, when you put it like that...
But it's so much better to say when something dies as opposed to when something is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. And we're getting into stuff that we talked about at the time.
Yeah, because... And that's what a lot of people said already anyway.
Exactly.
But yeah. But now we're... As you said, we are within sets that have been since we started the Mana Pool, so...
Yeah, I mean, we did a thing on... or an episode on... Was it 9th edition? 8th edition? 10th edition? I don't remember years.
I don't know.
But,
shall we keep moving?
Yeah, I think that's about it.
It was
Bloodthirst came back because that was the thing they wanted to do for this set. Dies, freaking Titans. Yeah, I guess that's it.
M13 was the one that had Bolas. Because,
Okay.
M12 was like gather your allies, and it had Gideon and Soren in it. Like, hey, a new challenger has entered the fray. Blah blah blah. And then M13 was
Right, because the version of Duels that came out had the... Holy crap, Brian.
I know, right? My computer loves M13. Go on.
By the way, we got a message from Jonathan Harvell. Hey,
Yeah,
buddy.
Marvel.
Who said, tell Brian to clean his heat sinks. So, hey, Brian, clean your heat sinks.
I will clean my heat sinks.
But, yeah, the version of Duels of the Planeswalkers that went with M12 is where I heard Nicol Bolas pronounce, at least I think it was M12, pronounce Jace's last name as Balerin, which is how I've said it ever since, because that was an official Wizards thing. So, and I think that was the Gather Your Allies one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, and now M13 was Face a Greater Challenge, which is where we got, what's name? Bolas.
Bolas.
And he was the first multicolored card in a core set ever. What?
Yep. Even when we had the legends in 10th edition, they were all monocolored. So.
Yeah. And we got legendary creatures here, too.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Exalted back, was the one that they brought back this time.
Yeah, that was interesting because it was in white and black.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's pretty much it, right? I mean, no crazy rules changes or anything.
Oh, God,
No.
Thragtusk.
Oh, Dragtusk and Blink Angel.
Thragtusk.
Dragtusk!
Wait, was the angel from the core set?
No, it was from Avacyn Restored.
Oh, okay.
Restoration Angel.
I was like, what? That doesn't sound right. Okay, then. Gotcha.
No, but they go together.
Yeah, so we...
Notably, this set does not include Giant Spider. Before this was the only card that had been in every core set.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
Giant Spider
That's
was
right.
the last surviving...
Core set survivor.
Yeah, from Alpha. And he finally got knocked out in M13. And you know what? We're better for it. No Giant Spiders here. I think the Giant Spider's in M19, though, so piss. So we got Bolas and Giant Spider, and that's about it. Okay. Oh, this is where we got more information about Chandalar, too. Like, for real.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like Talleyrand, the Zathrid Gorgon, War Priest of Thune, and the rings were all Chandalar things, like on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool. But then we had like legends from Ravnica and from Innistrad and from Grixis. So yeah, they were actually a little more flavor focused on this one, but still there's no story. Just flavor. It's delicious. Sorry, M14.
M14 was the Chandra core set.
Yes. Ignite your spark was the catchphrase. Or whatever. And they brought back slivers. The altered weird slivers that only affect your slivers and not all slivers.
Right.
Very different art
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
That I think was heavily polarized.
Yeah, instead of the weird bug things with the
aliens.
yeah, the pokey arm, they look like predators. It's a little weird. What else was going on in this set? All right.
I mean,
The legend rule was changed.
Is this where the legend rule changed? Again?
Where its most recent iteration.
Legendary permanents of the same name and Planeswalker cards of the same type were now only placed into the graveyard if they are controlled by the same player. Yep, that's what keeps Jace Beleren from being anti-Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah. Indestructible was keyworded, and the word unblockable was removed in favor of can't be blocked. And, yeah, it looks like not much else going on here as far as big sweeping things that we would want to talk about. Oh, we got new Lucky Charms things, the staves. Staff of the whatever
Yes.
Magus.
Mm-hmm.
was that the ones that do spells and lands?
Yeah. But only when
But
you
it's
cast
just-
the spell.
Okay, I was just about to ask. Okay.
Yeah, and they each cost 3. Yeah. Alright then. So then we get to M15? Yeah, that was 14. M15 is where we get a few more cards. It's 269 cards. Apparently to help...
Convoke what?
Oh yeah, convoke was the returning keyword. But apparently they made it 20 cards larger to make limited better. So that's neat. They went from 60 uncommons to 80 uncommons. So all of the extra cards went to uncommons. Neat. They added the whole base power and toughness bit of rules. Oh, this is where we had the designer game cards.
Right. Yeah, cards that were specifically credited to outside designers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the other bits of gaming's communities, like George Fan, who designed Plants vs. Zombies, did Genesis Hydra, etc., etc. And some of these were really cool, and some of these were slightly less really cool.
I think Genesis Hydra ended up being the most relevant one.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably, yeah.
It's really too bad that Hot Soup never really
Hot
did
Soup,
much.
but Hot Soup was nice, and I always loved the Penny Arcade, the watch.
Avarice Amulet, yeah.
Yeah. But it was just kind of neat to do, and the fact that we haven't seen it since then is a little like, not. I mean, this is also the last of this series of core sets. Spoiler alert.
And this one was the one where the cursed Garrick was the big villain.
Yeah, and the big card.
That's right. There was a big card that you could get at the pre-release and play a solo game against.
Yeah, kind of like you played against other, like the Minotaur Horde and other things at the Born of the Gods.
Yeah.
But yeah, Garrick the Veil Cursed, and you had like in Garrick's Weight, the Plague Wind that drew you cards, right? Or something ridiculous. Or was it just Plague Wind? It was Plague Wind that included planeswalkers you didn't control.
In Garrick's Wake included planeswalkers.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, this is also where we get the souls. They were trying so hard to recapture the feeling of the Titans without breaking
Yeah.
standard. That we got the soul of Theros, Ravnica, Innistrad, Chandalar, Zendikar, and New Phyrexia.
Yes.
They were pretty neat.
They were.
When they weren't, I mean, they were never busted, but some of them were sillier than others.
Do we have gold cards yet?
Other than Nicol Bolas?
Other than Bolas and now Garrick?
I think they kept it very, very, very
It was just
rare.
them.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing anything about them, so I guess not. Did we not get gold cards in core sets? Except for the big Planeswalker?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we didn't.
Oh, well, there you go then. We also had the chain veil, just in case you care. And the giant pair of scissors.
That's right.
Yeah, and Soul Artifact was from M15. And yeah, Dirk already said Convoke was the returning mechanic, and yeah, it looks like that's probably it. So then we go to what at the time was the final core set, Magic Origins, which was really cool because it took place in 10 planes? I think that's what 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 10 planes.
Yep.
And the 10 planes represented the origin plane, the plane of birth of the 5 planeswalkers that were featured, and the first place they went to. So the planeswalkers were Gideon, Jace, Liliana, Chandra, and Nissa, who soon you will be sick of them if you weren't already at this point.
We weren't yet, but
yeah, we got the flippy version of each of them. So a creature on one side, and then when something happens, they transform into their first version of their planeswalker selves, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've always been a fan since the original Innistrad of transform cards, and this was such a flavorful way to do this. It's awesome. And even ones where we were like, man, Jace is never going to flip. He's too frail. It's too hard to protect, blah, 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 blah. And then Jace, of course, because it's the blue one and it was really good, turned out to be really, really, really good. Although Nissa, I think, straight out the gate was like the one to watch. But then after a while, Jace kind of like took off on the tournament scene and never stopped down. Never slowed down, stopped. Gonna keep going, go.
This is where we got Menace for the first time as a evergreen ability, and Prowess and Scry were both made evergreen.
And Scry really needed to be evergreen. It really did.
Yeah. Oddly enough, there's really not much else going on here. We did get new keyword abilities, which I don't know if that's a thing from before. We got Renown and Spell Mastery. I don't even remember Renown. I had to read it.
Yeah, it's when the creature hits an opponent, if it isn't already renowned, then it becomes renowned and gets some number of +1/+1 counters.
That is
and
it.
sometimes they get some other bonus while they're renowned.
Yeah.
Feels very much like monstrous in that it's hey, if this hasn't happened before, do it now and get a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I don't know if were new keywords a thing in core sets? We haven't mentioned any
Not
of
yet.
them. Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but wasn't sure if we'd missed anything. This is also where the after Mulligan Scry thing first came into effect, but that doesn't have anything to do with the set itself. That's just when it happened. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There was more story. So this is the last core set, and they decided let's throw some story in there. So we had a bit of information about the 5 Origins Planeswalkers. Just backstory, nothing that would change or affect the current story that was running at the time. And
the story articles that are running on the website told more details about the origins of each of the characters and how they came to be Planeswalkers.
Exactly. And that was pretty much it.
So
then core sets died, and some of us, danced hallelujah on their graves. What?
Because at the time, you have to remember, again, the focus was these are here to help teach new players into the game, and the mechanic at the time that was getting players into the game was duels. Because some people play Magic, a lot more people play video games. And if the video game happens to be Magic, all the better. But
they also felt like the core sets weren't fulfilling their roles properly.
Yes.
It's like people didn't actually start playing with a core set. Like Brian said, some people had recently started playing with duels, but otherwise people would start playing with whatever the most recent expansion was that their friends were playing with.
Yes.
And that usually was not a core set.
Usually not.
Because as we said before, corset, even though we were getting new cards and stuff like that, corsets were still, by and large, kind of meh compared to the expansions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were supposed to be the nuts and bolts stuff that you needed to make the game work. And they figured, we could just do that with the expansions themselves. We're putting new cards in. We were putting new cards in the core set anyway. We can just put the new cards in the new sets.
Yeah, and then just a scant 3 years later, they were decided, no, now we have Core Set 2019 coming out, which follows a lot of what Origins did. We're getting the backstory of Nicol Bolas throughout the various parts of his life. We've got a Flippy Bolas. And they're bringing back what corsets are, but now they're going more heavily on the weird answers, as we talked about last week with a bunch of these laser-focused, obviously meant to combat this specific deck in this specific format cards. But that's more about their change in philosophy of what corsets are. But on the whole, corsets are essentially back to what Magic Origins left them.
Well, and I like how Chewy said, here we are a scant 3 years later. And for people like us that have been playing the game for a long time, 3 years, we're like, puh. But 3 years, 3 years worth of products, it was at least, I'm glad there's some changes they made, like the whole, hey, we're going to change rotation for this or that or the other. And then like a year later, they're like, no, we're not going to do 18 months anymore. We're going to go back to 24. We're like, this is at least something where it's been a full 3 years. And of course they've been planning, that they didn't just come up with this core set yesterday. This has been in development for a while, but it was long enough to say, okay, core sets have been gone. People really like them. Is there a way to do them in a way that we can check some of the boxes we wanted to check with core sets previously, but make them not? And I gotta say, this one looks pretty good. I love the nod, as Chewy pointed out, to Origins with Nicol Bolas, focus on story, the flippy, hero or creature into Planeswalker, and it's really cool. And I love the callbacks. I don't know if I said this when doing previews. I love the callbacks to the original Elder Dragons. I love them. And the fact that they don't do exactly what they did before, well, creatures have changed a lot.
Yeah, all of the original Elder Dragons were bad.
Yeah. Now, those Elder Dragons from Legends of the Dark, those are badass. But, just regular Legends.
Oh my god!
I don't know. Original Nicol Bolas and original Palladium Wars were.
Yes. Well, original Nicol Bolas was stupid because he made your opponent drop their hand.
Sorry, when I say bad, I meant by modern design standards. They were bad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if you look back at them now, it's like, which we did 2 episodes ago, I think. So,
but they're not even like balanced within each other, which is exactly what Mike pointed out.
Yeah.
You look at Nicol Bolas and you're like, wow, and then you look at Chromium and you're like,
what?
Yeah. Okay.
Which is weird because Chromium, like, the art looks the coolest. You're like, ooh.
Oh, yeah. And Nicol Bolas, it's not bad art, but it's kind of like, okay.
And Arcady Sabath is like, hey, you guys!
Yeah, he is.
If I remember correctly, the art for Nicol Bolas, wasn't actually a truly finished piece. It was more of a color study. And then they used it for the card, and the artist was like, oh, kind of wish I'd finished it.
Hey, Dirk, are you still awake?
I am.
Okay, I was going to say, nope.
Well, we've been going for a little bit.
I am not convinced.
So shall we wrap it up then, gentlemen? I think we have beaten the history of the core sets into the ground. But hopefully those of you who are newer to the game than, let's say, newer to the game than like M14, if you started playing since around then, hopefully this will give you some idea of what we had to deal with back in the day.
Yeah.
The whole like looking back on it now, the whole core set being in standard for 2 years while other stuff rotated is so weird.
Yeah.
But at the time, that's just how it was, and it made sense. It was like extended rotation. You're like, yeah, that's how it is.
So many things. I mean, this doesn't have to do with core sets exactly, but think about rotation. It used to be that when a set came out, it actually was not standard legal for 2 more weeks. And I went to because it was, I think it was to basically give people a chance to get their hands on the cards, not to mention that because there wasn't like a card image gallery or that sort of thing at the time, it was, hey, actually look up what's going to be in standard now. But I went to one of my first like F&Ms or something, and I brought cards from the new set, and I was told like, nope, you can't have those. And I'm like, but they're cool, and I want to play them. So yeah, just another example of how things have changed.
It's so weird. But anyway, so how about we wrap it up then? Got any sort of thoughts that may or may not be final, Dirk?
Nah, it's been interesting going back through the core sets and seeing what was there and reviewing some of the stuff we were excited about and some of the stuff we just face palmed at. Like the Titans, the Planeswalkers, I think we were all very excited about those. And
oh yeah,
I can't remember off the top of my head anything that struck me as face palming, but I know if we were to go back through the sets like really detailed, we would find some. But yeah, of them, I really do think Origins was sort of the one I liked the most, and it had a lot to do with the flavor.
Yeah.
So, but that's my thoughts. And with that, I'm tired, exhausted, and ready to go to bed. So you guys have a wonderful night.
Good night, Zerk. So, Brian?
Hey, so on the Magic news front, I've been playing a little more of Magic Arena when I get the chance, enjoying the closed beta, and I have a lot of thoughts as far as things that are working and things are not. And then the other day, I discovered a feature, and I'm sure it's a feature, I think they're doing it on purpose, that really has me a little like, huh. And I'm trying to, I don't think I've discussed this, so please, if this starts to sound familiar, let me know. I don't think I've mentioned this on the show. So I had a daily quest. It was play X color, X red or blue spells, let's say, right? And this was shortly after they added all of Kaladesh to Magic Arena, and I felt like I was seeing Heart of Kirin decks over and over and over and over again, in addition to a decent number of control decks, right? So I started with some of my games. I would get a hopeless situation, and I knew I couldn't win, so I'd quit. And then after about 3 or 4 games, I realized, I was like, wait a minute, why is this daily quest still here? I know I've played a lot of spells since then, and I tried it out on the next game, and sure enough, if you quit a game, it does not give you any progress toward your quest, regardless of progress you've made in that game.
Really?
That is insane.
Because conceding when you're about to lose is just standard operating procedure for games like this.
Yeah. And I mean, it happens on Hearthstone all the time, and you don't see people losing their progress there. I don't know if maybe they put it in to encourage people to see a match through. So I said, okay, well, you know what? I've only got to play 3 more spells. I'm going to do this. My next match was against a control player, and I kid you not, his whole deck was play as many planeswalkers as I can, destroy all your stuff, and never win. Just drag it out. And I'm like, are you serious? But I made myself stay. And you know what? I won. How did I win? He decked himself. The turn he thought he was going to win when he literally drew his last card out of his deck. Or he was about to draw his last card. I was able to use a blue desert to mill the last X cards out of his deck, so he had to draw from an empty deck. And it felt so satisfying because he could have won a long time ago, but he just kept not winning. I think
Suck it, nerd.
I truly think he intended to win that last turn, and I was like, you know what? You made this game take like 25 minutes for me to play 3 spells, which I did in the first 2 minutes of the game. No. But
you go to hell.
But
you go to hell and you die.
But I have a concern about this because I don't, while I don't think everyone is BMing, I don't think everyone's playing a control deck. I think that has the potential to be a serious problem. If control is very popular, then these quests that otherwise might be fairly simple, I like the fact that they feel doable, will take forever. Or have the potential to take forever. And so I'm like, oh, whoa. If this is something you're doing on purpose, put me down in the no department because...
I think that might be a change from an update because I swear I thought I conceded and finished a quest back when I played.
Well, and maybe I could maybe seeing it something for beta. They're like, we want as much game data as possible. So the less people concede, the more we see the whole. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but I
think you might be giving them too much credit there.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense because it would be valuable to have game data for how often do people just say, "Oh, screw it, I can't stand this anymore," and quit.
Yeah. So, but I just wanted to, just point that out that I do not think that is a positive thing. So. Yeah, but otherwise, I'm liking what they're doing in the game. Apparently, next week there's going to be an update, and they're going to put in the new core set. I'm looking forward to it. I've been saving up my gold so I can get my packs, and I've got lots and lots of wild cards saved up. And maybe because they expect you to go ahead and do them, they advertised it as they're fairly rare to get. I'm sitting on like a lot, like over 3 or 4 mythic wild cards, because if you know how I am in Hearthstone, I don't ever craft things because that's dust that I can't use to craft something else. And it doesn't matter that I'm not using it for anything. It's the rule of scarcity. And as soon as I do it, I'm committed. And you don't get as much dust back. If you dust it later, then you have... So it's knowing that it's there. But maybe since I have a couple wild cards saved up, and since they said that the next update will not entail a... collection reset, I might wait and see what I want from the new set, and if I don't open a nickel bolus or whatever, then make it that way. So
nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I got.
I recommend that you hit the feedback forums and let them know, hey, this is stupid.
Yeah, well, I agree because that's the whole point in doing a beta is to collect advice. So yes.
And feel free to throw in a thing about sorting the collection by set. Anyway.
I wonder if someone's already letting them know about that. What you got, Mike?
So stupid.
So, I finally saw the Han Solo movie.
Hey!
I actually saw it twice this past week. I saw it on Sunday with Ashley because that's what was playing. And we were both like, yeah, let's check this out. And then I saw it on 4th of July with my brother and my dad because it turns out somehow neither of them had seen it yet either. They wanted to go see it. And I understand where Dirk was coming from in terms of his main criticism that it was just unnecessary, but I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I agree that it wasn't a completely, necessary or crucial story, in terms of understanding any of the characters or what's going on. But it was a good movie and it was entertaining.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I saw it 1.8 times.
Really?
Yeah, the freaking fire alarm went off.
Oh.
I don't remember if I ranted about that to you guys or to the Monday Night Magic crew, but yeah, the fire alarm went off partway through, or with like 20 minutes left. Maybe not even. And when they show up at Paul Bettany's place, I forget the character's name because I don't remember character names in Star Wars movies apparently, but when they show up to him, the fire alarm went off, and we were like, really? Are you serious? And then the theater was run by an idiot, so we actually got our money back and left. And I've sworn off ever going to that theater again because apparently they only hire people that don't understand how things work. Rant over.
But something I had kind of started to notice without understanding it the first time, but then was able to articulate it seeing it the second time. The actor who plays Han Solo, the way he smiles and some of the other facial expressions he pulls reminded me a whole lot of Devin.
Mhm.
Oh my
Devin from
God.
college. And really that added to the whole roguish quality of the character for me when I finally realized what was going on. I'm like, yes, that's it.
I wonder if he had mold-colored hair.
Yeah, and actually sitting and talking with Thomas and Dad after seeing it the second time helped me finally reconcile like the timing, like where the movie fit in terms of the timing of what was going on. Because when I saw it the first time, there were a couple things I didn't notice that made me realize, yes, this wasn't during the, I don't know what to say without giving stuff away for people who haven't seen it yet.
Oh, well, just don't then.
Yeah, but I had some confusion about exactly when it was happening and how old certain other characters would have been and what they would have been up to. But talking with Thomas and Dad afterwards helped me figure it out, including them pointing out some obvious things that I should have figured out on my own. But sometimes you need help.
Look, if there's one thing I know about Mike, obvious things sometimes evade him.
Because he gets a lot of the complex stuff.
Yeah. Mike will be like, I can tell from, like, pheromones and whatnot that this guy means us harm. And I'm like, Mike, he's got a knife to my throat. That too, right. I knew that. That didn't actually happen as far as anyone knows. So is that it for you there, Mr. Beard?
Yes, it is.
Word. Well then, for me, I will just say, hey, I play video games on the internet. You should... that sound was my elbow. Oh, God. You should come...
I could hear it.
I'm glad.
You're on your own,
'cause I
man.
don't just sound like an idiot.
You know, when I hear that sound, it kills me inside. So you're on your
It killed me outside. That hurt. Yeah, on the internet, the Manipool. Ow. YouTube.com/themanipool, twitch.tv/themanipool. Ow. I did a nice chill pinball stream last night after getting back from hanging out with the parents. We watched True Grit, the original.
Oh, cool.
The old man was there, so it's the original. He would not like the remake.
Oh, yeah?
I think Mom would. The old man would not. But, yeah, we watched True Grit. We had stir fry, watched True Grit, and then I came home and played pinball. So, you know, America. But
Marga.
I had picked up another few pinball tables during the Steam sale for Pinball FX, including a table for Jaws, Back to the Future, E.T., Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, and 2 from The Last Jedi. And those were all pretty good tables. I especially liked Jaws. So yeah, I just did a chill pinball stream. It was nice. Gonna be streaming some Arkham City, Batman Arkham City very soon. More Hearthstone, of course. More Overwatch with the crew. Need to get some Killing Floor going because I have this urge to kill zombies and shoot them in their stupid faces. And there's something else that I meant to start streaming soon, but I don't remember what. And we've been going too long for me to try to figure it out. But anyway, lots of streaming. And then the stream... Oh, and more Party Hard and Play Gink, almost certainly. Because those are both a lot of fun. But some of this will be going up on the YouTube channel, of course. So, they're both the Manipool. Come check us out. And remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then that means you have Twitch Prime. All you have to do is link your Twitch account to your Amazon account, and you get a free subscription token to give to a streamer every month. And as far as the streamer's concerned, it's just like a paid subscription, which means we love you for it. So, by all means, get out there and give it, preferably to a smaller streamer, just out of sheer percentage. Like I said before, if you go sub to someone who has 2,000 subs and you're 2001, But if you go to someone that has 20 subs and you're 21, that's insane. So you don't have to give it to me. I appreciate it, but you don't have to give it to me. But please give it to a smaller streamer that does something you enjoy. You just have to remember to re-up every month. Not necessarily to the same person. You can give it to whoever you want, but it doesn't automatically renew like a paid subscription, which is the only downside. So yay. But with that, I'm going to be done. So you can find us all over the internet as the Mana Pool, just everywhere. Twitter, Facebook. There's a subreddit. I still don't know what to do with that. There's Instagram. There's what's the other one? Oh, themanapool.com. You can hear me with Bill and Clues over on Monday Night Magic every week. Don't forget that. And if you want to help support what I do with all of this ridiculous amount of content, the most direct way to do that is on Patreon at patreon.com/themanapool, where you can get Manapool episodes and YouTube videos early. You can get the early stuff and get the odds and ends, all the stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool that is uncensored and unfiltered, and you get to hear us swear a lot. And you, or you could become a lifeguard at the Manapool, get it? Which gets you the early stuff, the odds and ends, and the shout out on both podcasts and on the end screen for all of the videos that go up each month you support at that tier. So I'd like to thank Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al. Al just added me on Steam, oddly enough. That was weird. Just popped up in the middle of the pinball stream. I didn't get it till later, but it popped up. Anyway, I accepted, Al. You're cool. Paul David, Lance Delicious, Team U, Hellas Are You, John Morris, Stuart Slaw, PJ McMullen, Bosco Brattain, Casey, Nathan Hay, Danny Liao, Jason Doan, AJ Javieris, Cody Buckowing, Jake Jansons, Jason Kaus, Brian DeLucci, Stark Maximum, John Parker, Dan Holm, Bartle, Mike Miller-Burned, and the Beastfather, Aaron Goodwine. So thank you all so very much, and thanks to all of the other patrons. Now, by all means, listeners, if you can't or don't want to or whatever, do the Patreon thing. There are a million other ways to help support what we do. The easiest of which is just tell someone, like, hey, there's this podcast I listen to, or this idiot I watch on Twitch, or whatever. Because word of mouth is by far the most powerful thing ever. If you do the Reddit thing, and you want to get me some exposure, put me on Reddit somewhere, I don't know how to Reddit, so I don't understand, but I know every time someone says, hey, I did this Reddit, the numbers spike. So by all means, help a brother out if you want to. That's an easy way to do it. And stuff like that. Basically, spread the word is the absolute easiest way that gets tangible results. Or just send us a message. Hey, we just got an email, as a matter of fact, that I replied to and archived. Whoops. From Ross, who he got into Magic in 2009 during the Alara block and started listening to us in like 2009 or 2010. And he said he recently got into Magic after hiatus, and he said that it was awesome that we were still here kicking butt and taking names. I didn't take any names. Those names that I read off were given to me. I didn't have to take them. But he also said we might recognize his Twitch handle as Gilson0313, who followed the Twitch channel during the show, so the stream alert popped up because I forgot to turn it off before the show. So, thanks a lot, buddy. Look, we said your name again, and we're glad you're back, playing Magic and listening. That's awesome. But anyway, with that, I'm gonna shut up now. So, this has been the Manapool number 516? Yes. I remember things sometimes. So, thank you all so very much for listening, and go play some Magic. And respect your Corset elders.